Here at Elite Collegiate Planning, we're able to send students to private schools for nearly a fraction of the cost of public schools. Visit our website, elitecollegiateplanning.com, to learn more. Welcome to the College Knowledge Podcast, sponsored by the College Planning Network and Paradigm Financial Group. Whether you're searching for that right fit college, applying to college, or figuring out how you're going to afford it all, you're in the right place. You'll hear from deans, admissions counselors, student athletes, and scholars from esteemed universities and colleges around the country. We'll dig deep to uncover their insight and unique experiences. So whether you're a student gearing up for college or a parent with college-bound kids, sit back, relax, and listen. Like you, we have lots of questions. Our guests have the answers, and we're excited to share them with you. Let's get started. All right. So, Joe, I've come across a lot of people recently, and they're going, "Well, we make too much money for need-based aid, and I don't think you can really help us."
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Well, first off, make sure that it's fact that you do in fact make too much money. There's a lot of people assume I make $150,000 a year. I'm that category 3 that you mentioned. No, that this number is actually pretty significantly high. I usually use a number of like 350,000 if you only have one kid in school at one time. So, but if you do fall into that category of category 3, the issue is that you are most likely not going to get what's called need-based aid from schools. And that can in its own right be an issue.
So we've established the problem. Why is it such a problem? And does it get worse?
Well, it starts off because of school choice is such an important factor for a category 3, because essentially if you looked at like an Ivy League education, you're going to be asked to pretty much pay sticker price. 85, University of Chicago, $92,000 a year. Well, that's a problem in its own right? That you're going to have to pay that much. The other side is that some families, obviously, when you are successful, you may say, I'm not going to spend that much for college. And now you're going to limit the colleges that your student may have to attend. So one, there could be some interfamily issues with that. But number two, you could be asked to pay a significant price every year for each of your kids for college. And that ultimately, don't care how much money you make, you end up paying almost $500,000 for a college education. It's going to hurt.
And so why does life get worse if you do it the wrong way, or
Yeah. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a game. Category 3s have to plan very differently. But if you go into a blind and just assume you're not going to get anything, you probably will pay, a hefty cost. And maybe how you make that payment has tax implications. And now you're paying colleges more than you should, and you're paying Uncle Sam more than you should. And then that means that there's less money later on in life, right? There's less money that could potentially have growth later on in time for maybe retiring a couple years earlier. You wanted to retire at 60, now you have to retire at 63.
Okay.
So again, how you end up positioning things, how you play this game, how you play the game within different schools has such an impact on what you're asked to pay. But it's not just that price. It's then how you pay it can also have big ramifications down the road as well.
So if you go about it the right way, how does it improve the overall situation? What is the outcome that would be, you would hope for?
Yeah, well, I think obviously nobody wants to overpay for college, but a category 3 has to do that in a very specific way. And there's certain strategies that they have to implement that what we call category 1 and category 2 families, they can't. There are particularly ways where instead of overpaying for taxes that you may do when you have to pay a big college bill, what are some tax strategies that a category 3 family can take advantage of where there's savings? And now it's the IRS that helps pay that college bill. Category 3 families can use the best type of money that's out there called OPM, other people's money. How do you get someone else, right? Use a strategy that helps you pay for. So the sticker price might be the same, but it's not money that's actually coming out of your own wallet or your investments. So that's one piece of the puzzle. The other side is finding the right school, because if you just limit schools, or you say, I'm going to the school that costs the most, right? And you pay a high sticker price, again, might not be the best output. Maybe if you're limiting schools, well, now you chose a lesser price school, but it wasn't a great fit for your students. So they transfer or they change, and It takes them longer. So great, you paid a lesser price per year, but you're in there for 6 years.
Yeah.
So you have to understand the school fit, find the right major, the right career path, the right school, but then also look and say, well, just because I don't get need-based aid doesn't mean I don't get merit-based aid. Doesn't matter how much money you make, you're eligible for what's called merit-based financial aid. That can bring price down dramatically, especially if you can leverage it against certain schools. But not all schools give merit-based money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you have to know how the system works so that you can avoid overpaying and have a great outcome of now, hey, I opened up the school list. My daughter or son is going to the school of their dreams. They have the right program. And I didn't pay 80 grand a year for it. Maybe I paid for it. I paid half the price per year. Now, hey, I don't overpay in taxes. I plan this out the right way. So there's a lot of benefits to planning the right way as a category 3.
If you didn't know, we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn at Elite Collegiate Planning. Make sure to share and tag us. So obviously you've been doing this for a while.
Mm-hmm.
You've helped category 3 families. How and what do you do in that?
I think the first thing that I have to do is understand what the goals are for a family. I have to understand, well, where's money coming from? How much do they make? Are they a business owner, right? What are they trying to accomplish from a college standpoint? Do they want the kids to graduate debt-free, or do they want them to have some skin in the game? When do they want to retire? Do they want to buy investment properties? Do they want to buy vacation homes? Because when you sit back and you look at this big picture, right, when there's potential big costs that we may not be able to avoid, we have to plan for it.
Yeah.
And what is that going to have to sacrifice potentially later on? And you have to be able to play this game of making sure that what you do at one part of life doesn't put, sacrificing something or crippling a retirement, or, hey, I wanted to buy that Florida condo and now I can't because of what I had to pay for college. So my process is to understand where people are at and then ultimately say, okay, well, based on where you're at, what you're doing, where you want to be, here's solutions that you go for that. Now, to be educated on some of this, obviously, it's not cookie cutter, right? You definitely come to elitecollegiateplanning.com and find out, how this game can be played and why school choice is so important. But to get down to the nitty gritty, it's schedule a consultation with someone who knows this financial aid system, knows the difference between merit-based and need-based and what you could be truly asked to pay at different institutions. And you start to go from there.
Got it. So, it sounds like the real lesson is you got to plan, you got to be intelligent. And you certainly need to go through the process, right?
Yeah. And it's category 3s are at, I'll say, the most likely to extremely overpay for college versus category 1s and category 2s, because category 1s and category 2 families most likely will never be asked to pay $90,000 a year, where a category 3 will. So going into this blind, and that's per year per child. So going into this and not knowing how the system works and how you can reduce the cost of college and avoid overpaying, and then use strategies of potentially IRS money or other people's money, is how you win at this. But it's very complicated and it's not very well known. So working with an expert to decipher what you're trying to accomplish and then how to maximize money from different areas is how these families succeed in the college game.
You mentioned a website before, but is that how you would start kind of down this pathway?
Yeah, I think it's the best place to start because college is so misunderstood. And almost every category 3 family that I've met with, the first conversation that they always say is, I didn't think there was any way for us to get help. I always thought, hey, we make this much money. We know we have a lot. We're very blessed at where we're at. But at the same time, if we can make college cost less, we want to take advantage of it. They just assumed they were going to be paying top dollar. And with that, they're saying, hey, I think we have to go to that in-state state school because not that we can't afford the Ivy League level education, but I don't want to. And then you bring to light, well, there's these other schools that maybe it is an Ivy League, but big fish, small pond, all of a sudden now their kids can actually get some merit-based opportunities where they didn't think were possible. So educating yourself, going to elitecollegiateplanning.com, learning a little bit about the system, but then ultimately scheduling a one-on-one consultation so that someone can actually talk about your picture a little bit to see if there are areas that you might need assistance with.
Yeah, so obviously you've helped people in the category 3 kind of arena before. When they're using your solution, what's the feedback you've gotten?
I'll say more shocked than anything when I present a solution. And then ultimately when that solution gets implemented, it's one of those, I'm glad I found you.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest piece. And then again, it usually I'm glad I found you, but hey, I wish I found you 5 years earlier.
Yeah.
Because what you're able to save me, for the past 3 years, how much would that have been in additional savings with some compound interest? Like they realize those things. So
got it.
They definitely sit back and they understand that it is a game.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're working with someone who knows all the ins and outs.
Got it.
They know how to play this. They know where money can be gotten. And they also know where money cannot come from, which is another piece. It's not I've had to manage some expectations with some families where they just assume their student is great and they're going to get merit-based money from, the scholarship. And yeah, that's what we're relying on. And it's like, yeah, I know we make a lot of money, but we're going to have to rely on this. Well, that can't be the solution. That's hope, and hope's not a plan. So when I work with these families and actually now create a strategy and say, well, you're going to do this, this, and this, and now your tax burden comes down $7,000 a year. We're going to take that $7,000 and put it over here. And now that is going to grow, each year. And then that's what we're going to use to pay for college, right? Oh, and then when that runs out, okay, we're going to use this strategy over here. And then the money that you have saved, we'll use that in this aspect. But ultimately the goal is to say they get to keep more of their own money, and the rich get richer because they implement certain strategies where they do pay less for certain things and allow their money to grow. That's where they're extremely happy at the end of the day because they got to keep more of their money. And those families are also very big into generational wealth and estate planning. So they're extremely grateful when it's all said and done.
I mean, there you go. There you have it. I guess that's why the category 3 families need to get into the process and follow through.
Couldn't say it better.
Hey, everyone. Go ahead and book a free consultation at elitecollegiateplanning.com for help with all of your college needs. Remember, plan early, pay less. Thanks for listening to the College Knowledge Podcast with your hosts, Dave Kozak and Joe Kearns. We hope you enjoyed this week's exploration of higher education, sponsored by the College Planning Network and Paradigm Financial Group. That's all for this episode. See you next time.